everyone, welcome to Dice on Ice. My name is Em, and apologies, first of all, for the delay. My computer just didn't want to stream, but I forced it violently to. I just wouldn't give up until we started streaming, and here we are. It worked. But welcome to episode 23 of Curse of Strahd. This episode is yet to be named because I am unsure what my players are going to do today, so I'm just going to wait and then find an appropriate name after, unless we want the windmill incident again. But anyway, so last session, they have been under, I guess, under a mutual contract under the Lady Watcher to get rid of their doppelgangers. I guess they haven't met them other than a headless Eli, but they have been tasked to get rid of themselves, their doppelgangers that have just been causing havoc in the city of Vallaki, and in return the Lady Watcher promised that she would give them a weapon to use against Strahd, this, which is called the Sun Sword. Now, before they went on this mission, they wanted to look at the Baron's house, the Baron that they had recently killed, in order to find anything that they could to help them on their mission. Perhaps even finding a certain spellbook owned by the Baron's son, Victor. And so what happened is they went in, and Fel remembers that she had a dream. She had a dream of a wolf, a golden wolf, opening up some sort of hatch, and she was able to go into a secret entrance that led to a mysterious place, a crypt, and unfortunately she saw her father crawling out of the coffin. But she was still curious because she recognized this switch and this area from the Baron's house. And so when they went back, Fel investigated, and indeed there was the same opening, the same trip, the same hidden passageway as was in her dream. And when they went down there, they did indeed find themselves in some crypts. They fought a particularly nasty creature that they surmised was even beyond an undead. It was something that was so twisted, something done to it magically, though they weren't sure what it was. Something done to it magically to make it so incredibly twisted, and it lurked in the dark, and that was very taxing on a couple of them, all of them, and a couple of them actually fell unconscious. And just as they defeated this monster, this thing, they were transported to a secret location, a location that may be safe from Strahd and his spies, but you can never know for sure. This was the same place as Fel saw in her dream, and on top of the mount of this strange world, they saw the wolf, who is a vampire, a golden elf. And he was quite mysterious. He told them some things, answers. He told them to find him, where he can explain a little bit more, but he had kind of hinted that this place had already been tainted by Strahd, but he said that they are small pawns in what is going on cosmically, and perhaps even Strahd himself a pawn in what is happening. And so after they left, Jean went to go up to find some supplies, jumped out a window, and left. But she was found by one of the members of the Golden Wolf, who then brought them around to find the rest of the group, and they were able to get back and out. And so, where were you all headed now that you're out of the Baron's house, you see that people have gotten in, the crowd, the masses, and are just absolutely pilfering anything and all things in this house, also like defacing it despite the efforts of the Golden Wolf and of the Lady Watcher's personal guard. Right, yes. So, if you want to uh, do that, you go back. The Vixen takes you back. You find that the Lady Watcher is not there, but the Vixen already seems quite comfortable within the house of Lady Watcher, letting herself in, talking with some of the servants, as if she is quite familiar with this place and guides you all up to rooms where you can stay. Is there anything else you wanted to do before you took the long rest?
We short rested, so from a physical standpoint, um, Eli's in pretty decent shape. Um, though dried blood probably still crusting his beard and clothes, and he's got a little bit of that 1,000 yard stare going on.
Hey, how's your chest doing?
Well, I'm not gonna lie, it hurts. I know it shouldn't. I've healed up, but
Mhm.
it still feels tender.
And she pauses for a moment. Would you probably need some sleep? I know that I told you back in the wherever we were when we met Eloin that I wanted to talk to you maybe first thing in the morning before we go figure out this situation with the church. I mean, I don't want to keep you up if you're not feeling great.
No, I'm not 100%, but I'm of a mind if you got something that needs saying, best not to let the sun go down on those thoughts.
And I imagine there's this like slight look of frustration that flickers across her face, but then she calms down. She says, "Sure, let's I guess your room, my room. I imagine they're all pretty similar."
Whichever's closer, I guess. I'd probably, I imagine I'd escort you to the room designated as yours.
Yeah, and she would open the door. I'm assuming it's typical guest room, kind of fare. Um, and she'd wait for you to get in. If there's like any extra chairs or something, she'd pull one out for you just so you could sit down, and she'd kind of sit on the bed. Um, so what do you make of all this? Everything that Elwyn told us. I mean, it was a lot, right? Cosmic forces and chaos and the Raven Queen. I mean, that's definitely not a god or a goddess you hear too much about.
It's it's a bit of a loaded question. I mean,
Sure.
if you'd asked me that question, hell, if you'd asked me that question a few weeks ago, perhaps even a few days ago, my answer would have been a lot different than it is now. Uh, Up until we headed through that fog, I was of a mind to just face whatever we had to and kill whatever we had to. It's what I've been doing for the last couple of years.
Right.
Moving from one monster to the other, one horror to the other, pushing myself as hard as I could until either myself or it died. And, well, up until then, it was always them. But ever since we stepped through that fog, things have changed.
I'll bet.
And, well, it's no secret, as dark as this place has been, it seems that the things that I was hiding from, they showed themselves here. And now, in a strange way, I almost think I'm better equipped, having opened myself up to what Shantea and perhaps any other gods may have to say.
It's fair.
That isn't to say I'm keen to be face to face with this Raven Queen. Her reputation
Sure.
is not one that lends itself to the comforting and ministering to a flock. That said,
At least not a living flock.
right. Well, that said, I'm feeling a little bit better about our chances, though. Again, being honest with you, Phil, kind of rub my chest again. Seems every day that passes by, we get challenged, and this isn't the first time I've been knocked down.
True. Very true. It does sort of feel like we're walking the knife's edge constantly, one step from failure and destruction, and one step from maybe surviving the night, the day, the week. I mean, I don't honestly even know how long we've been here. The sun is obscured constantly. So, speaking of that, and she kind of starts to wring her hands a little bit, glancing away. So there's no guarantee really of what's going to happen to us. I mean, and that's true in life, but especially here. Like, we could walk out of this door. You could walk out of this door right now, and Strahd could be there with a weird demon thing that has a baby inside, like the one in the Durst household. I mean, it's been this endless parade of horrors, and we don't know what we're going to find in the church. Assuming we can even get past this, was it this evil demonic tapestry that you mentioned, and then face this doppelganger that probably has magical powers if it wears my face. So I've been thinking about something, and you're gonna have to, and she smiles a little. You're gonna have to bear with me. This is a little. Before my Aunt Marwyn invited you and Oscar to that dinner party, have you ever been to Daggerford before? If you haven't, it's all right. I'm
No,
just curious.
I'd been making my way up from Greenest,
Right.
quite a ways further south. And
Okay.
I was born and raised down in them parts. So pretty much everywhere I've been since then's been new.
Right. So look, I don't know if you've noticed, and maybe you haven't. I wouldn't blame you. We've had a lot of other things going on, but she leans forward. I don't sound like most people from Daggerford. I'm sure you probably noticed when my aunt was shouting at us. Our dialects, our accents are different. And trust me, there's a reason that I'm telling you all this. So the reason that I talk like this is because apparently, according to some of the older servants that have been in my family's service for a while, this is how my mother spoke, and she was a high elf, full-blooded high elf. Apparently, I look a little bit like her, same pale skin, red hair, green eyes, and everything. But nobody really knew where she was from. My father, Duke Ulster Daggerford, ran into her during one of his, he calls them visitations. It's actually what he was doing when you and Oscar and Gleowin and the Everchild, and what was the name of that man? He got really drunk. His daughter's name was Valentina. Was it Vander? I don't remember. Anyway, when all of you came, my father was away on these visitations, basically ensuring that our family's current alliances stayed strong, and also trying to form new ones with surrounding settlements, even going as far north as Waterdeep or as far south as Baldur's Gate. But he met my mother apparently on one of these visitations, and if what the servants say is true, he was smitten with her, and he offered to take her back to the Daggerford estate in Daggerford, obviously, and she agreed. And it's obviously he got her with child, but nobody really knew where she was from. Just this random high elf woman. And when I was old enough to start asking these questions, a lot of those older servants, they said certain things, but I got the sense that they were hiding things, probably because my father had ordered them to. My father he's not a bad man, but he's very cold. He still has the Daggerford family temper like I do and like Morwyn does, but his anger runs cold. He's much more precise. But anyway, tangents aside, supposedly about a month or two after I was born, my mother left, and my father never saw her again. Apparently he was devastated, though I can't really imagine my father being devastated in that way. But I swear this is all leading to something. So they never, and she hesitates and then kind of clasps her hands together. They never got married, Eli. So while it is very, everyone loves a little bit of alliteration, right? I'm Felith the Daggerford, the Duke of Daggerford's daughter. It sounds great. It's not technically true. I mean, I guess it is, but the reason I asked you if you'd been to Daggerford before is because it's probably the worst kept secret in that town. I am the bastard of Daggerford, effectively. And there's people have different opinions about that sort of thing. I don't know if it's different for, I hate to say commoners, but commoners over nobles. But some people believe that bastards are carnal, depraved monsters that should be, killed when they're born or not be born at all, obviously. I know a lot of people in Daggerford think it's a joke. I'm a living, breathing example that my father, the Duke, despite his airs and his arrogance, can still make mistakes like anybody. But I started talking this way specifically to try and get him to tell me more about my mother. I thought it would nettle him enough to get him to talk about her, and he never did. He just looked at me and then continued talking as if I'd always spoken this way. You've heard my actual voice before. This is how I actually sound. Usually when I'm stressed or upset. So why am I telling you all this? Why does this matter? So when you fell, in the crypts beneath the Baron's estate, I felt like I couldn't breathe. Like someone had sort of punched me in the stomach, and I couldn't breathe. And I wanted to help you, obviously, and I did my best. I'm no doctor or a practitioner of physic or medicine, but you have always been honest with me, even when you had no reason to. After what happened in the forest, you just told me about Greenest after I dressed you down for the fact that you messed with that mushroom-infested boar corpse, which I apologize for before when we were talking in Lady Watcher's parlor and I threw that back in your face. That was bad of me. I shouldn't have done that because you already made amends. You already said you were sorry. I shouldn't have done that, but I was just, she bothers me. She's like my aunt. Just ugh. Anyway. But you didn't have to tell me that. And I've told you before that people don't really talk to me the way that you do. And I guess I realize that, well, one, as I said before, nothing is guaranteed. So there's no guarantee that we will. I mean, obviously, we're going to try and get out of here. I get that's the whole point of this, but there's no guarantee that we will. You know, we could fail. We could fail horribly. Um, there's no guarantee that there will be time for these sort of conversations later. Um, you know, it's frustrating, and she gets up and she starts pacing back and forth. It's frustrating. You know, you say these things to me, and I like I said, people have never said these things to me before, and I've said things to you that I've never said to people before, and I am by no means an expert on friendship, Eli, or relationships. And again, please don't freak out. Just but this, you and I have been through some very interesting things together, and I know that when we were shouting at John, sorry, when I was shouting at John and you were sitting there peacefully loading righteous indignation like you were about to shoot somebody, we discussed the fact that it often feels like we are two parties sort of crammed together into one. And I still think that's true, but I don't know if there's a whole lot we can do about it because Jean and Cola have a previous connection that we know a little bit about, and you and I, we knew each other before we met Cola. Um, you you are frustrating, like unbelievably frustrating. I just want you to get that. Like you do these things, you make these decisions without thinking about them. Sometimes you do, you're getting a lot better at it. And we all make dumb decisions sometimes, but it's just, and the river metaphors, the endless river metaphors. I mean, I get it, believe me, I get it. But, and maybe it's because one of my metaphors, which I think was much better, we are like in a cauldron sort of situation, everything's so intense all the time. There's not really a there's not really a moment of peace except for occasionally. I I care about you um, a great deal, maybe more than I should, but I think the reason that I felt like I couldn't breathe down in those crypts is because I realized I have no idea what I would do if you weren't there. Because you've always been there, right? Since we followed Stanimir and his troop through the mists, you've stayed. We lost Gleowin, we lost the Everchild, we lost poor Oscar, we lost Anatoly after he saved our lives. I mean, we just keep losing people. And you've always um look, I'm just going to say it because I feel like I'm rambling because I'm afraid of what you're going to say, so I'm just going to say it. I like you, Eli, um, a lot, actually, which is why I was telling you all those things, because while I do think we should be careful about what we tell other people in general, you've always been honest with me, and I'd feel weird and awful if I wasn't honest with you. So um, I'm going to sit down and shut up now because I feel like I've put my foot in my mouth, and she just goes back to the bed and sits down, kind of looking at her hands.
Eli's been listening very patiently, watching you pacing back and forth in the room. And as you rambled on more and more, and it became more and more clear what you were trying to say, Eli was barely suppressing a bit of a smirk, but also trying not to let it show too much for fear that you would misinterpret it. When you finally sit down, you know, your name is Phil or Philitha,
Mhm.
which is a very lovely name.
Thank you.
But right now, I'm inclined to want to call you Brooke,
You know,
which is a
I.
sort of a small babbling river.
Yep, I got it. I got it.
And then, and then to sort of let you know that that was just a bit of a joke, and that he is taking it seriously. Uh, I reach over and just sort of push a strand of hair that I imagine is kind of fallen in your face from all the pacing around, and just kind of push it back and tuck it behind your ear. You know, when I told you all that about greenest, and I told you about why I was doing everything I was doing, and I've shown you this book, and I reach in and pull out the prayer book with the singed pages, and you've seen the names that are written there, the names of the dead. And this is what my motivations have been. But what you haven't seen is what I wrote in there recently. And I open, I flip the pages back to the beginning of the book. And written in new, fresher ink, it says, do it for them, but also do it for the living. And the three names that are written there, first is Fell, then Sean, and Corla. But Fell has been underlined a couple times. Despite everything that's been happening and all of the uncertainty, I feel like I have new purpose. And if I'm making rash decisions, if I seem like I'm putting myself in harm's way, it's only because I'm trying to keep you safe.
I know. And sometimes I know that I get paralyzed by indecision. You don't understand how hard, well, maybe you do, how hard it was for me to actually say all of these things to you. But it's good that you act, because sometimes you do have to just act and hope for the best. There's no really good or bad decisions. It's just what decisions hurt people and what decisions don't. Um, I and I know it's weird, and please don't take this as me trying to force you to say anything you don't feel or trying to make this uncomfortable. And I know defeating Strahd is our priority, but you know, the Lady Watcher said when the Vixen dumped your doppelganger's severed head on the ground, this is a memory you will always have, or a memory you will never forget. And I was just thinking, there's been so many bad things that have happened to Eli, so many bad things. Like, it would be, if you do feel the same way, it would be nice to have maybe some decent things happen every once in a while. Nothing insane, but just every now and again. It can't be all misery all the time, right?
Again, that smirk, this time not concealing it so well. Vel,
Mm.
you have an insatiable need to have things confirmed. You do not
Yes.
like uncertainty.
I don't.
You
I mean,
don't like not knowing. You don't like
think
the.
think about think about my life though. I'm not human. I'm not a high elf. I'm not
This is not.
technically
This
a
is not a.
commoner. I'm not a noblewoman. It's I hate the in between. You're right. You're not wrong.
My
You're
point is not to. This is not a criticism of your character.
I know.
It was simply acknowledging, because I want you to know that
Mhm.
not everything has to be ambiguous. And
True.
Eli leans in and kisses Fell.
I imagine there's this slight moment of shock where she doesn't really entirely know what's happening, but then she sort of leans into it a bit and then breaks the connection after a few moments and kind of rests her forehead against yours and just says, "Oh, yes, that was not ambiguous at all." um, I'm not entirely sure what to say now. I didn't think I would get this far, to be totally honest with you. Um, and she kind of just runs a hand through like your beard a little bit, and she says, just sort of almost to herself, I've always had a thing for men with beards. I guess a dwarf is like a logical progression of that. So anyway, thank thank you, I guess. That was very nice. um, um,
I think at that, having sort of thrown Fell off while also giving her a confirmation, um, Eli would just sort of lean back a little bit, kiss Fell on the forehead, and say, "You need to get some rest."
I do. So should
And
you.
and I would reach over and grab my rucksack that's actually a wooden chest and throw it up over my shoulder and walk out of the room. And as I turn to close the door, just deliberately turn and give one last look and smile at Fell, and then close the door behind me.
And she smiles back, and I imagine she sort of sits there for a moment on the bed and that just says, just like she did with the holy symbol, I think that went pretty well. And then she'll go to bed.
That was fantastic in, in all ways. Um, Corla or Jean, would you do anything before you go to bed, or are you off to sleep?
Jean will not be taking a long rest this evening.
Oh,
She's feeling fit as a fiddle
okay.
and a bit uneasy, a bit pent up, I think. And she's going to spend her time, I think, this evening scouting the streets of Alaki under the cover of Shadow and Moon to try and get any sense of the sightings of our doppelgangers.
Ah, perfect. Okay, so we'll go to you in a moment, but Corla,
Corla, I only need like 4 hours or something of sleep, and then I'm done. And um, I'm thinking, did we find Jean afterwards, or she's still missing?
No, we
no.
Jean had re-met with you at the secret door, and then we
Yes.
all skedaddled out of there.
Okay, okay,
Yes.
so yeah, you are there. Okay, perfect.
Yes. So, Jean, you would head out like pretty much right away.
I think as soon as the sun sets,
Okay.
she'll find herself. I think she'll find herself like trying to get a bit of rest, but she can't, as if she had like I don't know a shot of espresso or something.
Yeah, and
A
I
weird
think
kind of night activity keeps her body vigorous, and she'll go out into the streets at night.
Corla was definitely feeling very beaten from the last session, so she would take her time to rest up. But when she's done and she's out of her trance, she would be looking for Jean, and finding her not here, I think she'd go looking for her.
All right. So, um, I, actually, I think that it would be almost morning by the time you guys go to bed, if my timing is correct.
Yeah, it was super late when we went to the Baron's place, so that makes sense.
Yeah. So Jean, you only probably have about maybe 5 hours of darkness before. Well, probably about 6. Because the light isn't that bright anyway, so it gives you a little bit more time of darkness in the morning than you would usually get normally. Jean, as you go out, it doesn't take long. You see that the streets are fairly empty, quiet. first time in a long time, and this allows you to see a lot of the refuse, the dirtiness of the city. What has become of it? You see a lot of the tents have been taken down, and underneath you see neglected stonework, neglected cobblestones on the streets where stands once stood, markets selling various goods. Now gone, you see the various cracks and crumbling, the mold, the mildew that now inhabits them. Little squares from stands that fire performers had set up many months ago are still there as that kind of this constant reminder of shadows and silhouettes that are no longer there, but you can still almost hear the instrumentals, the sounds and the smells of popcorn and caramel on the wind. But it seems fleeting. You still see some people around, milling around, looking lost. You see their tattered robes, their tattered jester's outfits. You see the various guards from different families roaming around, some of them starting trouble on purpose, but you stick to the shadows. You are unseen. But it does not take long before you feel a presence beside you. And you do not even have to look. You know who this is. He walks beside you for a while. Can I tell you a story, Jean?
She gulps audibly in her throat as a response.
Once, there was a man who wanted to fix everything. He begged on bended knee for a chance to turn back time. And when he got it, history just repeated itself. But good job, we all told him. Good job, that's your fate. But he still asked, may I try again? So we let him try once more, but with a catch. He who denies his fate will be punished. And now he'll keep living as a cripple, lame, wounded. Do you see where I'm going with this, Jean?
You'll have to remind me.
I don't know. I don't remember if he tried again, and I don't think either of us care. But even if he didn't, there probably wasn't a very happy ending. What I'm saying, Jean, is you can't fight fate. It's immutable. You are a person of fate. What are you trying to prove?
She turns to this figure who's speaking to her like this. Her hand is on the hilt of her war pick at her side. She thinks thoughts, thinks of ways to threaten this being. Her hand freezes, paralyzed almost, on the cold metal of this now silvered war pick. She struggles to say the words, "be gone," though I imagine they're forced out of clenched teeth.
You must be wary, Jean. When you try to change fate too many times, it leaves you crippled, it leaves you destitute.
Gone! Get out! Get out! And she yells and screams, bringing up this war pick and tries to sunder this man's head or chest with it.
And just as you turn to attack, like a puff of smoke, the figure disappears, dissipates around your war pick, around your body, around your mind almost. You can almost feel it entering into your thoughts, and you hear a whisper. If you try again, you very well can. But this time they may take one of your legs. And the voice is gone, and Jean, you realize that throughout this walking, this figure had been slightly leading you. And you find yourself at the gates of Vallaki. And you see written in blood upon the walls, though the bodies have been removed and paint tried to get this blood off, it still bleeds through. Strahd is Lord.
And I think that she falls to her knees, seeing this. She begins to weep, I think, her hands clutching her head, her face. She tries to brace herself on the hilt of her war pick as it embeds in the sodden grasses that make up the floor of this Vallaki tent city. And she cries and weeps. It's just an ugly thing, what she does.
How long do you stay there for?
It's probably between 5 to 10 minutes of just gut-wrenching, unconsolable fits of weeping and hysteria as she sits there, barely able to stand.
And what do you do afterwards? Where do you go?
I think she can't stand to be out and about. We'll try to make her way back to the Lady Watcher's abode to get some proper rest, or at least some isolation, where she could feel safe, though I doubt that'll be the case. I think on the way back she will swing by the Church of, I want to say Latter-day Saints. That's definitely not what it's called.
St. Andral's.
St. Andral's Church.
Yeah.
Almost like a force of habit, as that was a kind of her safe point before Lady Watcher's place. And I think that as she kind of swings past the tent curtains and realizes where she is, she'll begin to head back to Lady Watcher's place.
Yeah, what's interesting is that it's almost the lack of change or difference that seems to surprise you. The tent is still there, covering up the building that is underneath. You see that there's no people around it. The doors are closed. People seem to be distancing themselves from the doors. You do, however, see about 4 guards posted outside the door. Do you get close enough for them to see you, or?
I think out of a force of habit, yeah. There's going to be no way that they wouldn't be able to see her.
They would cross the spears in front of the door. Sorry, miss. No entry. Find your pendants elsewhere.
And I think that's what's going to like snap her to realize, oh, I've literally walked to the wrong place. Sorry, good man. And she will maneuver through the camp, the tent city of Velaki to the Lady Watcher's house.
And you get back, and a few hours later, Corla, you wake up from your rest. You feel rested, but uneasy, as you do most times waking up in this place.
Yeah, the first thing Carla would do waking up would be to go to Jean's room and quietly knock to see if she's there and awake.
And I'm there, right? This is later.
Yep, yep.
And it's a bit of a pause of almost silence of what you expect for maybe if the person's sleeping, but I think as you would move to think to turn away, come in, you'd hear from behind the door.
And Corla would come in and close the door behind her. And she would look to you, and you could see that there's something bothering her. And she starts to pace around your room, small as it is. And eventually she turns to you. Jean, it is, there's something wrong with me. It bothers me. I must speak to you and tell you this. And I think she would find a place to sit down, maybe on the kind of the corner of your bed or something. This fight we just had. Remember, you saw how my blade would not touch that thing? It kept missing. Like I did not want it to get hurt. I don't understand. And this is not the first time. You remember the chapel and the sun that was not sun no more? I could not hit him either.
Corla, forgive me if I've asked this before, but have you been trained with those weapons?
Yes.
With an instructor practicing footwork?
You have seen me do this. You have seen me do this many times. I find most vulnerable spot and I strike and I always get them. But not these two. And the only thing I can think is that they are like, I don't know, they are fanged and they are bloodsuckers. What does this mean for me? What does this say about me?
There is a point in every warrior's life where their blade does not strike true, their footsteps are clumsy, their mind is elsewhere, and this is a place where that warrior needs to remember to meditate, to think, to breathe, to remember their footwork, to remember their time as a child playing with wooden swords with a man far taller and greater and a bit of mockery still. It's you need to remember your roots, remember how to balance on your toes. It's your mind might go other places and you have to steer it back, steer that horse back to the straight and narrow path.
So
Perhaps do not let the fear of these creatures make your hands sway and your footwork stumble. It's important to
you are saying just in
focus.
my mind, I am like scared and that it has nothing to do with facts that in house I was like given as tribute but still live. Is that what you
I've
say?
I've been a general. You know this. Perhaps not before, but definitely now. I saw ranks of soldiers. I saw soldiers who were only trained to fight brothers and other people. Not even people, just to have formations and be able to count to three as they volley their longbow. It's scary fighting things that are unnatural. Having creatures that walk like no man should ever walk. Creatures that, when they get hit and get cut, they do not fall, they do not die, they do not bleed. And you see them stand up again as if it had never happened. It's it will shake a person. It'll shake them to the core. It'll shake them down to their beliefs. It'll shake them down farther than that still. We brought in monks from the distant mountain chapels. They have prayers and meditations that we then incorporated into the regime of our soldiers. Part of their training, part of their recovery from war wounds. It was no magic, except for magic of words. It was just a way for those who had been struck ill in mind to recover from the things that they've seen. And it helped. I dare say it helped to breathe, to focus, to let yourself recenter, to think before you do, to not let your emotion take sway.
But maybe you are right, but my blade struck true and all I could see was anger toward Baron. He died by my blade. I did not falter then. But maybe different emotion, this fear you are saying I'm feeling?
If you find it is fear that stays your blade, fight that fear. Tell it, no, not today. Hold it at bay. Breathe. Remember
Jean,
to breathe as you swing.
I am
A deep
so worried.
breath.
The things I have been told when we were in that house and you left me there, you sacrificed me. It's okay. I forgive you now. I understand why you did choice that you made. But I am still here, and I have been told that there is a mark on me. This, I do not know what it means. It bothers me.
A mark on you.
Yay. I believe it was that Vistani woman. She said you have been marked. I do not know what that means. I don't feel marked. I feel fine. I feel normal, except
Then find peace that you've not been marked in a way that leaves your chest raw and bare. And
I am sorry for bringing that up. It's not what I meant.
just find solace in that. Perhaps it was just a thing for one to say to instill fear in you. I would not give it any credence.
You may be right. I am comforted. But
The
Jean,
minds of man were not meant to witness such things that we're seeing.
true.
It does horrible things to a person. You are not alone in this, though I fear we are alone in this. I will, if this happens to you again, I will recite to you the meditation prayers that I had learned from the distant mountain monks
Thank you.
of the Black Valley peoples.
Thank,
Perhaps that'll help you.
thank you. And Corla would get up to leave the room. And just as she's put her hand on the door, she would turn back to you. Jean, promise me one thing. You will not let me turn like that, like those things we see. If this mark is true, don't let me do that, please.
You have my word.
Thank you. And she would leave.
So the morning comes, and you all hear something that you haven't heard in quite a long time, seems like. You hear the soft, pattering tapping against the glass windows. This rhythmic sound of rain. This rain is quite heavy and not the usual kind of misty haziness that you are used to, but a good, solid raining. And you all wake up and you see that... do you all go downstairs, or do you convene upstairs first?
I think downstairs in some kind of landing is fine. I think it's natural for someone to not like linger outside of someone else's bedroom instead of just like going down to a proper landing.
You would see the vixen there at the same at a dining table, different from the parlor room that you had the conversation with Lady Watcher. You see a delicate array of various fine procured meats, cheeses, breads, and even fruit, which fresh fruit, which is probably quite odd. And maybe you think that where would people who are trapped in this world get fruit, but let alone fresh fruit. But there it is, grapes, oranges, very, very exotic foods, even chocolates, delicately lined with sweets. You see the vixen and a few other members of the Golden Wolf. They're kind of hunched over some sort of parchment, hushed tones echoing from where they're seated. And as soon as they see you, they kind of stop, not in a surprise, but more of a conversation is over now. Maybe because you're there, maybe not. They don't seem too jumpy, though. The vixen... You are all awake. Very, very good. This is courtesy of the Lady Watcher. You may enjoy to your heart's content. Unfortunately, she will not be able to receive you or entertain you at all today, as she has made an unexpected trip.
Unexpected in what way?
It was unexpected because she did not expect to leave.
So what caused this unexpected departure, Maeve?
I am unsure. She got up and called for her carriage, and within a few moments she was gone.
Gonna insight check that to see if she's lying.
Yep.
I do not trust this person at all. Well, apparently I do. It's too early for these rolls, apparently. Let's see. That is a 5.
You might be distracted by all the wonderful food and smells
Yeah, I imagine Fel is like looking from the vixen to, and then she kind of stops and looks at the table. Is that a fucking orange? She just walks over and picks up the orange and starts peeling it.
Something that you will find an absence of is there are no pies. I will say that.
There you go. The only pie here is the one that Fel still has in her bag.
Oh, gross.
But yeah, so she'll peel the orange, kind of look at the vixen and then at the others. All right. Do we know, is Is she coming back anytime soon that you're aware of? Did she tell you, since you two seem to be such good friends now?
I am sure she will be back whenever her business is done.
So I think, and again, she'll glance to the other three, I think we're potentially planning on trying to slip into the church today to deal with the only doppelganger whose location we currently know. You mentioned there was a passage that would take us into the sanctuary, but you said it was collapsed. Is that something that your men might be able to dig out? I mean, we could help, obviously, but unless, is there another way in?
We have already begun to work on it.
All right.
It is big enough for each of you to crawl through. We do not want to make it any bigger because we are, frankly, my men are unsure of what might come out if the hole is made too apparent.
Fair enough. Is Peter around? Is Peter one of the Society of the Golden Wolf members that are in this little gathering?
No, he is not. These seem to be kind of the more senior members.
Gotcha. So as she's eating this orange, Fell will say to the vixen, so I was hoping Peter would be here because apparently we're really bad at this being a heroic thing. Did Peter mention to you or to anyone how the children in the orphanage were doing, if he saw any other people besides the monks, or there was a dog in there as well? Did he mention anything about those individuals being all right?
He did not. No.
Perfect. All right. Just curious. Fell's gonna sit down and continue eating her orange.
So you all eat and you all finish, if you choose to, finish this hearty meal of Vistani wine as well, accompanied with it, and you all set out to the church, accompanied by the vixen as well. She leads you through the streets. You see, John, that it is a little bit more, there's a few more people there, still fairly, than there was at night, but it is still fairly sparse. I need everyone to make me a dex check. A dex saving throw. Sorry, please. Thank you.
That's a 21.
It's a 6.
17.
Ten.
Corla and Jean, all of you actually hear this no, not actually not that much, but just like this, like kind of this mass coming by your head. Jean and Corla, you feel this object impact your head, and you can feel this wetness kind of slowly drip down your neck, and again you get pelted again, and you feel the same thing, except this time there's a crack to it. You touch the side of your head and you see that they have thrown rotten eggs at you. You can probably smell it long before and immediately know what it is just a rotten eggs, and you can see that there's a few people who stare at you with this disdain and contempt, that are yelling these insults at you, but are being held back by other members of the Golden Wolf who have materialized. Well, it could have been worse, the vixen kind of says as she looks back at Jean and Corla.
Could have been poop.
Or rocks.
Or poop.
So eventually you all get to the St. Andrew's church, and she takes a nod to the guards. They nod back, and the vixen skirts around the outside. And in the back and behind, Eli, you would know that, this is kind of in the back, where that temple was, or the shrine was for this tapestry. And you do see that, in fact, there is a very ragged, very haphazardly dug out hole and a pile of bricks laying, and mortar and stone laying nearby in a pile. Uh, well, this is it. It does look a little small. I apologize. We could only do so much.
Fel will look to Eli, and I imagine she's refilled her wineskin at the breakfast table and just is slurping this down as she takes a moment. What can you tell us about this tapestry? I know you told us a little bit about it, Eli, but if we're going to crawl through this tunnel and be right there with it, what do we need to be expecting as far as that goes?
From what I can remember, it was it just draws you in. I would recommend as much as possible not looking directly at it, not touching it. I think I should go in first. I'm the smallest one here. I'll take a torch in with me. And if it looks like it's going to be a problem, I'll set fire to that thing. If I can.
I just want to say one thing. You may be shortest one of us here, but not smallest. That is Fel.
Wait, I'm confused. I'm like a foot and change taller than him.
But you are like skinny.
Am I? Thank you.
Eli just looks at Corla and then looks down at his own stoutness and then just kind of shrugs his shoulders.
It's all the gruel that we've been eating since we've gotten to Barovia. I'm used to much richer food. Anyway, let
me put it this way: if something goes wrong, and I pull out righteous indignation and sort of, you're gonna know it immediately.
Fair. Honestly, I think Eli should go first if you want it. It makes sense, and then maybe Corla, me, and then John bring up the rear in case there's like a collapse. I mean, you're relatively strong, right, John? You might be able to, I don't know, raise some of the ceiling. I mean, if it comes to that, I mean, a little bit. I'm not, saying that you can hold up the entire roof of the tunnel yourself.
I'll do my best.
So, obviously, when we get in there, obviously we don't know what we're going to find. I guess we try to find the thing with my, and she takes another long drink from the wineskin, thing with my face, and then we kill it and bring the head back, since apparently that was a thing as well. And maybe we can try and rescue the people that we know in there, Lancelot and the children, and the other person. How far away is the Vixen and the society members at this point? Like from us? They're like right there with us?
Yeah, they're pretty close.
Right, yeah. So just keep an eye out, I guess, unless anyone else has any ideas. Did we ever end up distributing those potions that you found, John?
Yes.
Excellent. Narrate everything, Connor.
Where did we end up distributing those?
Eli got the potion of greater healing, and then the other two nerds got the two nerdy potions.
It's accurate.
I know what was going back and forth, so I didn't write anything down. So I have a potion of greater healing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Jean has one, and then Eli has one.
greater healing add because
And it was
wait,
potion of
I'm going to need it. I
poison.
have a feeling.
Yes.
What was that?
Potion of poison, then a
Poison.
potion of fire breathing.
Yes.
Don't mix them up.
Yeah, that would be awkward.
All right, we're ready to do this.
Oh, yeah, one thing. And Fel will actually take a moment. She'll walk over to you, Corla, kind of concentrate for a moment, and then there's this little kind of flicker of teal-colored energy around her hand, and she's going to cast Prestidigitation on you to get away, or get all the egg gunk away.
Oh,
And she does the same to Jean. We're going to be covered in dirt. Might as well not make it rotten eggs and dirt, so.
thank you.
You're welcome.
It was most unpleasant.
Sure, and I bet you'll be much sneakier if you don't smell like rotten eggs.
Truth.
So the vixen comes back after talking with the people, the other people. She says, so my men tell me that they have made a tunnel to where they think that the shrine is, but they did not make the opening all the way. There is a small tile that they have loosened, but not gotten rid of. They have marked the tile for you, but you will have to move it yourself.
How wide is this tunnel that your men have dug out? Would you say like 5 paces, 10 paces?
Yeah, probably between 5 to 10, just 6 or 7.
I almost wonder then, since Corla has shown in the past that she is very stealthy. She's adept at sneaking, which makes sense for a wood elf. They blend into nature and whatnot. Maybe she should go first to sort of subtly peek out from below the tile. I just don't know if she's going to be able to get around you, Eli, if she's behind you. You know what I mean? If the tunnel is too narrow to get around. I guess you could crawl over.
That tunnel's easily 2 dwarf asses wide.
All right, didn't realize that was a unit of measure, but that sounds good to me then. I'm good to go. Good to face this thing. She drains the rest of the wine from the skin and then puts it in her bag.
Though, what you're saying makes sense, but I will be right there with Corla. True. In case something goes wrong with this tapestry, in case you open up that tile and find yourself.
In we go, I guess.
Okay. So, Eli, you're going in first?
Corla's going to go in first
okay.
now, but I'm going to go immediately behind Corla, sort of at the ready to... I've pulled one torch out of my ruck and have it ready. It's not lit, but just sort of tucked into my waistband. Pistol at the ready, and I'm following close behind Corla.
Okay. Corla, you go in, and when they say this tunnel is small, and they weren't joking. It is quite... It's a struggle to get in, though you can with some maneuvering and just some just kind of using the rocks around you to your advantage to move forward, since you can't always get such a good purchase with your legs. But you're able to eventually make it, and it does get quite dark very, very quickly. Jean and Fel, are you going in behind, or are you going to wait?
I think Fel is following Eli, maybe at like a 5-foot distance. But yeah, she also has slightly better dark vision, so yeah, she'd kind of be, if there's anything that looks ominous, she'll probably call it out to the folks up front as quietly as possible.
Okay.
And Jean will take up the rear.
Okay. So, Corla, you eventually do, after some struggling to get through this entrance, this tunnel, you do eventually see a very, very small, dim light of some sort of iridescent phosphorescent, I guess is a better term, phosphorescent marking above you. And you can see the very, very loose edges of a loosened tile. You can see kind of the slits in between of where they loosened it, and it just seems like it just needs like a really good shove to get it out.
So before I do that, I'm going to listen to see if I hear anything above.
Yes, in fact, you all do. As you get closer, you hear the low, you hear sounds that are, that you can't quite place. You hear the sound of groaning, the sound of pain, the cries of torture, but they all seem very muted. They all seem like someone had just kind of muffled the sound, or you were very far away from hearing it. You hear both male and female cries for help, pleading for mercy. You hear soft whimpers, and you hear just all of these sounds kind of come together in hushed whispers.
And she looks to Eli, who is like right there, to see if he's also hearing what she is hearing. And seeing that he is, I think at this point she's going to open that tile. Just putting just enough like force on it to make it move. I don't want to slam it open or anything.
Okay, I'm gonna need you to make me a strength check, please, because it is a pretty hefty tile.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a 10.
If she's looks to be struggling with it, I'll help. Will that allow her to roll at advantage then?
Yes. Yep. You can kind of, yeah. I don't think that you would be able to like push it up with her, but you could like brace her, and kind of help her push it.
Oh, Eli, you're amazing. That's an 18.
Nice.
I mean, we all know that.
TMI.
It was more. Don't blurt that out.
So,
Right.
Carla, you are able to lift up this tile from underneath, and you're able to move it aside, and you now have access to the Church of St. Andral's, and that is where we're going to take a quick break. So we will be right back, 10 minutes or so, and we will see what happens next. we're back. All right, so Corla, you are able to lift up this tile and move it, and you immediately, the tunnel is flooded with this muted light of where the windows once were, or where the windows are in this shrine area. What would you do? Would you kind of poke your head out, or what would you do?
Yeah, so as soon as the tile is gone, you said the light is streaming in kind of through the
Yeah,
windows?
yeah, it's like a muted light. Yeah.
Yeah, she would poke her head up enough to see around in the vicinity of this room, to scope to see if there's anybody actually there. And if not, she's going to climb out as quietly as she can.
You see that it is in fact empty. Of people, maybe. What you do see is these horrific black oozing tendrils that stick to the walls, the floor, the ceiling, and spider out around you, over you, and into the room, through the doors, and into the room beyond. I need you to make... Do you look around extensively? Do you look towards the tapestry, or are you, like, purposely trying not to look?
Oh. Like, I know we're coming up into the tapestry room, right?
Yes.
Like,
Well, you are
that was
in the
the-
tapestry room. Yep.
Yeah, that's what, but I knew that before we were
Yes,
coming.
you did. Yep.
Seeing all the tendrils, she is going to actually follow her eyes towards where they're emanating from. But if she becomes part, like, she knows to avoid the tapestry. So if it looks like that's where they're all heading, she's not going to look further. But
Okay.
if I'm caught in that hole, do I look away in time? I'm absolutely.
So what I'm going to say is you're going to be able to make an intelligence saving throw with advantage.
Okay. Oh, so that's a 21.
You're able to see where these tendrils are emanating from, and you're able to look away, but you feel this strong pull, just to look at this tapestry, just to peek, just to see what it looks like. You feel that pull, that urge, that need to look at it. But for now, you're able to resist it. Do you say anything back to the, or what do you do?
Yeah, so okay, so feeling that pull and remembering almost seconds too late that how dangerous it is, I would actually kind of duck back down and turn to Eli. There are tentacles like everywhere in this room. Was they here before when you were seeing them?
Not that I saw physically manifested, no.
Would you like look? And if he looks like he wants to take a peek, she would get out of his way.
Okay.
Like, move around, shimmy, whatever, to let you have the room.
I imagine that they've kind of like dug past the tile just a little bit, which would allow you to just kind of like move forward and let Eli look up. If you would like.
Yeah, I'm going to take a cautious look up, and I imagine, knowing that we're coming into the room that we are, I'm going to do my darndest to not look at the tapestry.
Okay, I need you to make me an intelligence saving throw with advantage, please.
Intelligence.
Yes.
All right. I got lots of intelligence. Well, that first roll is a 4. Oh, good. Second one's better. That's a 7.
This might be because you've looked at it before, but you feel I can't say that word.
Inexplicably?
Inex-
Inexplicably.
Inexplicably, yeah. That.
You got it.
You look at the damn tapestry.
You're evil now. Get over it.
um, Eli, you look at the tapestry and you are immediately engulfed by what you see. You see that the tapestry has moved and it almost looks to be 3D in the figures in it are beginning to reach out. They call. You can actually hear them, and you can realize that this is where the sound is coming from, the muted screaming, the muted cries for help. You see a few more of the priests that you recognize that you had seen before who have been swallowed by this tapestry. Quite a few, in fact, including Gregory, who had supplied you all with the potions for the night. He is in there as well, all of them holding these intricate arcane boxes. They're reaching out, they're screaming. Some are impaled on spikes, others are being torn apart by wild animals. Others still are being disemboweled by others who don't seem to be doing this of their own free will. Their expressions are as fearful as those that they are attacking. But you feel so drawn to them. Perhaps you think you might be able to save them. Perhaps you think that if you were to, you would be able to overpower this tapestry. You'd be able to, just with your touch, Shantea would have her blessing upon you and you would be able to free them. You know this.
And yeah, Corla would see as I kind of peek up in there a moment of hesitation, and then I just sort of push up on the edges of this hole until my knee catches on the edge and I can pull my body through. And I'm immediately up in the room. I holster righteous indignation and begin walking toward the tapestry.
Eli. Corla would like kind of loud whisper because she doesn't want everybody to hear, but
I'm the only one that can save them.
What's going on up there?
no, Eli. And Corla's going to try to grab Eli.
Okay. I think probably opposed strengths, but Corla, I'm going to say you do so at disadvantage because you're in a hole.
This ain't going to end well.
This is just an athletics check then?
Yeah.
So that's a 12.
I got a 23.
Yeah. Eli, I don't even know if you would notice Corla grabbing.
I imagine Corla just grabbing a hold, and I immediately just, with no effort at all, just break that grasp.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And again, that loud whisper. Eli, no.
Oh, shite. Fel's going to try to move past Corla if she can, if there's enough room to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so then she's going to peek out of the hole, looking specifically for Eli, knowing the tapestry is in here, and she is going to try to cast Hold Person on him.
All right, I'm going to need you to make me an intelligence saving throw, not just straight, because Eli is just right in front of this tapestry, so.
Balls. Well, that's a 9.
Fel, you look at this tapestry, and you see. Actually, tell me what you see. Why does this tapestry entice you so much?
I think she, when she glances in that direction, she actually sees her father, Duke Ulster of Daggerford, but not as he normally is, which is usually very stern, disapproving, because she's usually failed to meet his unreasonably high expectations. But he is smiling at her and gesturing for her to come closer, holding his arms out as if to embrace her. And she sees Morwen kind of like cowed and huddled in one corner, and she actually smiles and she starts to pull herself out of the hole as well. Trying to move past you, Corla, and she starts to walk towards the tapestry.
Damn it! So you are also going. Do you look different? Do you look? Do they?
I
look
imagine
close
she
and-
is smiling. I imagine there's maybe even a little bit of moisture in her eyes because, she's just seeing this image of her father as this benevolent individual as opposed to his normal cold and aloof self. So yeah, I imagine she looks pretty struck, I guess, by this.
And her smiling would be very different from what
Yeah.
she normally looks like.
Hey,
Uh-huh.
accurate.
This is like crazy, Phil. So
There's been no reason to smile.
I think with that, Corla is even going to follow her out to get a better hold of her. If she can't stop Eli, she's at least going to stop Fel.
What's going on up there?
Would Fel still be
Not
able to
whisper.
cast that spell, or would she's just so taken by the tapestry that she doesn't even think about it?
I think it would be almost instantaneous. Like as soon as your eyes lay on, there's that brief instant where you have to see Eli and cast the spell, but you're just so like you just
Got it. Perfect.
hyper focus.
How far is it to the actual tapestry?
It's about 15 feet.
How big is the space we're in?
It's probably double that. Not double that. Another 15 feet the other way. So you're kind of in the middle of the room.
But what's the width of it? Is this like a 10 foot, 15
I would say that 30 by 30.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Did you say you were going to try and grab Fel, Corla? Okay, so that was competing strengths, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And I'm not at disadvantage this time, is that correct?
If you're getting out of the hole, well,
Yeah.
then no. No, it would not be.
Well, I rolled an 8.
Oh, I rolled a nat 1, so guess
Oh
what?
my god!
Oh, no!
Get rid of your dice, Karen.
What's going on up there?
I got
Literally
an idea.
everyone is falling under this thing's spell.
I got an idea. Why doesn't Corla go first?
Jean, what are you doing? You see both Fel and Eli just kind of pop up and they start walking. Eli mentioned something about being the only one who can save them, and that Corla is frantically trying to do something, and she too jumps out of the hole. What do you do?
Sean will follow suit and jump. Not walking towards the tapestry by failing an in save,
Well, we'll see.
but try to we'll see about that. But at least climb out of this hole to be able to assist. Because John figured out what's going on right now. Is there some kind of weird shenanigans going on? So she's going to come up there to help her.
Very cool. Make me an intelligence saving throw, please.
All right, let's see if I need to use my inspiration. Yep, I do. Nope. All right. So after burning my inspiration, that's going to be a grand total of 7.
Where was that last save point?
Oh,
Well, guys, it's been fun. Can't wait to re-roll characters.
Oh, no! Okay, so, Jean, please tell me why this tapestry you look at it and you notice, well, you hadn't seen this before, but why is it just absolutely so enticing to you?
At first, she was confused. She saw Strahd standing there. She saw Strahd standing there, almost like a wolf among sheep, enticing yet obviously a predator. And then she blinks, perhaps, or her mind slips for a moment, and she sees the face of her own father. Her father who isn't dead. Her father who isn't who normally wouldn't be there, but he's alive. He's smiling. He's calling to her, calling her name. And Dad, is that you? No, it's been so long. And she would race to join her father in the scenery of this tapestry, thanking whatever gods are blessing this day for her dead father to join her.
All right. Corla, you see Jean, and just because of your description, I'm going to say that you are running. Jean is running towards this tapestry. Corla, I need you to make me another intelligence saving throw, please.
Stab her in the kidneys. That'll stop her from running at the tapestry.
That is an 18.
You are still resistant to this, the wiles of this tapestry. You see nothing familiar, nothing of love. You only see of hate and destruction and terror.
I would like to pull out an oil flask, light it on fire, and throw it at the tapestry.
You do so. Immediately, flames begin to lick up the tapestry, begins to cover it in smoke and obscure it briefly. I would like everyone, please, to make me an intelligence saving throw as the smoke clears. And Corla, you see to your disappointment that the tapestry is still there.
That's a 20.
That's a 6.
You want me to roll again as well?
Yes, please.
17.
Oh, yeah, no, I've got a 9 that time.
This time, everyone but Fell fails. As the tapestry seems to be reaching out more and more and more eagerly, awaiting you can feel that its presence is becoming stronger and stronger and stronger. And Corla, why has this tapestry now become... You have seen something in this tapestry that you didn't see before. That you just noticed. That makes it just extremely enticing. What is it?
I didn't notice it before, but on one of the sides, there's this figure of a woman. And this figure of the woman, she turns and looks at me, and it is my mother. And I haven't seen her for so long, and she looks so beautiful, and she's young and pretty, and she's holding her hands out, beckoning. And I just want to be held. Mother.
Jean, you run to the embrace of your father, and you find yourself falling. As Fell, you snap out of it, and you see that Jean has jumped headfirst into this tapestry and has been absorbed by it.
Okay. So seeing that, Fell, realizing that her father and Morwen are not there, takes a breath, and then she just lets out again this... It starts as a scream, but instead this blackness wells up in her eyes and it drains down to her lips, and she is actually going to burn 2 sorcery points to cast darkness on the tapestry, obscuring it from the view of Corla and Eli, as this oily blackness just snakes out of her mouth and congeals into a bubble around the tapestry. Let me give you the exact dimensions here in case that matters. 2 seconds. It is a 15-foot radius sphere around the tapestry, hiding as much of it as she can. Again, no sound comes out of her mouth. It's just this oily blackness that congeals in a sphere around the tapestry.
Okay. Eli, I will need you to make me a dexterity saving throw as you suddenly open your eyes and find yourself teetering about. Your body is almost like, you know, that kind of thing where like your body is like almost ready to fall, and suddenly you have consciousness and you're trying to like pull yourself back.
I'm sorry. It was a dex save.
Yes, please. Or I mean, yeah, if you think something else, then that's fine too.
I mean, you're the boss.
You the boss.
Let's see. Dexterity. That's going to be a grand total of 9.
You find yourself falling as well, Eli. You realize this too late. Your eyes, you know that you and Fel, you have vision into the darkness, correct?
Yeah, she's definitely trying to avert her gaze from the tapestry as much as possible, but she can technically see through the darkness.
Right. So you look. Well, so you haven't taken your eyes off the tapestry yet, so, or well, in that direction, so that's fine. You see through the darkness, and you see Eli just kind of begin to teeter, and he tries to throw himself back, but it's not enough, and he falls into the tapestry.
Yeah, she she sort of, I imagine she's sort of looking at the spot where he was, and at like the last minute, if you need, I can make another intelligence saving throw. She will try to avert her gaze from the tapestry. But yeah, I imagine she just sinks to the ground, just feeling totally broken in this moment as she realizes that she may very well have lost Eli.
Corla, you blink. Your vision have been obscured from the tapestry. Its pull has lessened, and you are in your right mind again, but you are in complete and utter darkness.
I think panic sets in and she's yelling, Jean! Jean! Where are you? Jean!
Imagine Corla would probably hear the very quiet sound of sobbing coming from the direction of the door, just in that general direction through the darkness, since it doesn't muffle sound, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think Corla would try to reorient herself towards that sound if she can, and head that way.
I think after some like feeling around, you're able to locate Fel.
Yeah, and she is just slumped on the ground, just staring at her hands, just tears streaming down her face, her shoulders sort of bobbing up and down. She has no idea what to do. I imagine maybe some of the tendrils are even starting to close in, and she doesn't seem to be aware of it at all.
Phil, I cannot see. What happened?
And hearing your voice, Corla, she looks up at you, kind of wiping her face. We need to leave. We need to get out of the room. And she'll there's a door, I'm assuming, somewhere nearby, Megan?
Yes, absolutely. There's one on the other end of the away from the tapestry.
Yeah, so I imagine she kind of reaches for your hand, Corla.
Yeah, and I mean, Corla doesn't reach obviously for yours back because she can't see you, but she would.
Or I mean, she tried to feel around.
Yeah, she would grip your hand as soon as she feels you touch her.
And you would feel the hand shaking and trembling as Fel pulls herself up and starts to move you towards the door. And you hear her just muttering under her breath, don't look back. Just don't look back at the just don't look back at the tapestry. Don't look back at the. And she starts to move towards the door, and she's gonna try and just push it open if it's unlocked.
Yeah, absolutely. It does unlock. It opens up. And then you see the sanctuary beyond. And that is where we're going to end our session.
Oh, oh my goodness.
So, thank you. That was something. That was a roller coaster of a session.
God damn it.
So, thank you everyone for watching. We will reconvene and see what has happened on the 31st of March. We will find out the fates, what is happening, and what to expect for next time. But thank you to my wonderful, wonderful players. You guys are awesome and amazing, and I love just sitting back and plotting. I mean, watching you guys play out everything. It's so awesome. Catch us here tomorrow at 2. Is that right, Connor?
Yep, 2 o'clock.
2 p.m.
Mountain Time.
Yep. Where Connor will be running us, me and some other people, through Black Hack. Pariah is the name of the campaign, and it is super great and very gritty, and yeah, awesome. And then, of course, Thursday, you can catch me, myself, as well as Jake. He is running Dawnbringers on his Twitch channel, twitch.tv/mini-terrain-domain. So check that out. We got a lot of stuff going on, which is great. Thank you, everyone, again for watching, and we'll see you next time. Have a good night.